Raj, thank you very much. And thank you, audience, for coming and giving us your attention at the end of a long day, a very interesting day. The panelists from the last session had, I think, some very good remarks that can be a foundation for the discussion that's going to follow here. And as Raj said, we'd like to have questions as well as comments and observations, not only from the panelists, but from the audience. And as you have questions, please feel free to raise your hand. Okay, so this panel is going to talk about best practices in developing and managing IP patent portfolios. And I think one of the points that the speakers made, several speakers made at the last panel, was that it's not a one-size-fits-all type of idea to develop an IP strategy for a company. It's not a cookie-cutter kind of thing. What's interesting, though, is that there are some basic principles and some basic ideas that are employed across industries and across types of companies, and we're going to talk about some of those today. And then we're going to talk about the implementation of some of those practices, the challenges that these heads of IP are looking at in running their company's IP sections, and what kinds of things that we could do to address some of those things. So, why does your portfolio matter? From a business standpoint, it matters only if you can provide value to the company. And I think that there's an idea among some companies that patents are a cost center unless they're being licensed and unless there is revenue coming in exchange for those rights. And I think that as companies start to get their arms around patents a little bit better and start to talk about the various kinds of things that could be done with them and start to establish ways to measure how those patents contribute to the bottom line, we see that that value that can be provided, that business value can be provided in lots of different ways. It could be part of the exclusivity in the marketplace for a product, for a feature of a product. It could be patents that are present to provide defensive value for companies. As companies enter into new markets, they encounter new IP threats. If companies are coming into the United States, oftentimes they are surprised that there are not only competitors there that are looking to best them, but there are also companies whose business it is to generate money based on patents that they buy from companies that were operating companies at one point in time. So having a patent portfolio and developing it and understanding what's in that patent portfolio is an important part of getting the value out of it. And so where to start in getting this value and demonstrating this value is to ask the questions, what do I have and what can I do with the rights that I have? And when I say, what do I have, I'm not talking about calling up your patent agent and saying, tell me the numbers of the patents that I own, tell me how many patents I have, tell me how much money it's going to cost, give me a set of the first claims for each of those patents. Those are activities that really diffuse the question, what is it that I have? I have the ability to sell a coffee cup with 2 handles on it in the market for people who have difficulty grasping cups. I'm the first person to do that. And so the person who is out there trying to compete with me can only sell a cup with one handle and is not able to reach this market, or they're not able to charge the premium that I'm able to charge. What can I do? In that case, I can exclude those other people. I could license those people. I could partner with them in some fashion and cross-license them. So when you are talking to, when you as the patent manager, as the head of IP, are talking to the CEO of the company and the CTO of the company, those are the kinds of simple statements that you want to be able to make about the rights that are in your patent portfolio. How do we proceed to get to that level of clarity? One very important part is to be able to create a sufficiently nimble and useful record system, a database, and to centralize the information that would contribute to being able to articulate those kinds of statements about your patents and your patent portfolio, having that easily accessible, sortable, customizable to the issues that are important to the business, linking it to other documents, the patent documents, agreements, things of that nature, and then have some kind of analytics that tell the story rather than long discourses of words, which attorneys are very fond of because they're useful for other purposes. So these graphic analytics can be used to show key features and to show relationships that are important for business decisions about the portfolio and what to do in strategically managing it. When you go through this exercise, what kinds of data do you get? Well, what kinds of technologies is the patent relevant to? What products that you make or product categories that you make are the patents relevant to? How core are they to your company's products? Can they basically preclude someone from copying the product details, or can they prevent somebody from copying the valuable functional aspect that the marketplace is seeking there? Similarly, outwardly facing, how do these patents affect competitor products? Is it possible that these patents are valuable defensive weapons? And of course, looking at monetization issues, are people interested in buying these patents? Do they have commercial value in the marketplace? Are people using them that I would want to spin them off and sell them? Those kinds of things. And then how strong are the patents? And these all seem to be pretty obvious, except when you talk with a lot of companies, they haven't gotten to this level of clarity and simplicity in their portfolios. So once you understand the business value as a legal person with a business overview, how do you communicate that business value to people in the company that are making decisions for the company? So do you take a spreadsheet like this and hand it to your CEO and say, look at all the work that I've done this year, these patents that I've gotten, and they're all nicely organized by publication number, and you could read about the abstracts and all of that. What's your CEO going to say if you hand him this document? Well, if he knew that there was something else, well, he would just say, well, yes, you're a science kind of guy, aren't you? That's just very nice. Yes, please go and do your job. Thank you very much for coming by. Or do you communicate the business value using the kinds of tools and the kind of language that the CEOs communicate with?